Hey, what's up? This is Ailstrike Gundam here. Buying clothing online is so easy an above average ape could probably do it. You go to your favourite retailer, you look for your favourite brand, you add stuff to cart, you check it out. Or if you're a little bit more savvy, you're on sites like Grailed or Depop looking for specific items, trying to score those second-hand fashion steals. We're all about looking a little deeper over here though, and I want to show you how we can find clothing which fits into current fashion trends whilst giving us more options and better pricing than what's conventionally available. And for this, we're heading to Japanese online marketplaces. You might remember I took an initial dive into this a few months ago, and we came away with a couple of interesting items. In particular, the acronym EP1B, which is probably one of my best pickups this year, and I've worn them loads over the summer. In that video, I played the fool, the non-native, the above average ape, if you will, stumbling around the internet, putting in a few Japanese brand keywords to show even someone like me could come away with some cool stuff. Well, this time, I'm bringing in the big guns, because I've got Japanese fashion expert Reggie Casual of the Casual himself. And he's going to be giving us the insider info on the best way to shop clothing from Japan.
That's right, it's your boy Reggie Casual. First off, I gotta thank my friend Antwon for locking up a spot for me on his channel, finally. And if you don't know, we've been on YouTube for years talking all things Japanese fashion and more. And being that I'm located in the great city of Tokyo, we're going to be talking about the different types of marketplaces you can use to get Japanese clothing and some brands you can look for which people outside of Japan are probably not gonna even know about. You know, all the stuff Antwon missed in that last video he did because he didn't hit me up? That stuff. But it's all good, because that means this time you're gonna unlock the secrets of buying better fashion online in and from Japan.
And to prove it's going to work, I'll be using some of Reggie's knowledge myself to pick up some even cooler clothing than we found before. With that in mind, let's get going. If we're going to become experts in Japanese fashion shopping, we're going to need to know three key pieces of information. Number one, what kinds of marketplaces and retailers are available to us, not just Yahoo Japan that we used before. Number two, what brands can we look for to give us the biggest benefits or help us find things that we've never seen before. And number three, how to actually use these sites, buy items, and have them shipped to you. We're going to cover that third point first, because that's the easy one. A lot of these sites, of course, are in Japanese. They often require Japanese IPs and shipping addresses to use properly. Personally, my Japanese leaves much to be desired. In the last video, I used a service called Buyee to do the heavy lifting for us, and I'm pleased to say that following that, they reached out wanting to support a follow-up, so they are funding the pickups for this video, so massive thanks to them. Going on Buyee.jp allows us access to all of these sites, it translates everything into English, and it translates currencies as well, so it makes it a lot easier to know exactly how much you're going to be paying for stuff. It can estimate shipping costs and stuff like that too. And they can consolidate orders from multiple sites into one package, again to help save on shipping costs. We'll be making use of that later in this video. A lot of Japanese sellers won't actually ship outside of Japan, so again, Buyee helps with that. They provide a warehouse address that they'll happily ship to, and then they send it on to us. International shipping, of course, can be expensive, so it's not necessarily economical buying one $5 t-shirt using this method, but if you've got a few things that you're after or one pretty significant pickup, then it can be a pretty effective method, and indeed, we found that in the last video. I'll put a link to Buyee in the description. Please do check it out, especially because you can get 2,000 yen off if you're a new customer. Definitely worth saving some cash. And there's a big event on at the moment until the end of this month where you can get a bunch of different coupons to save even more money. And this time, we're going to do it better. Reggie, you're based in Japan. What is it that makes Japanese marketplaces so hot and so useful to us right now? What is it that we can take advantage of?
You know, the interesting thing about Japanese fashion is that brands are very consistent with what they produce. Rather than hopping from trend to trend, they really pick styles and aesthetics and just stick with them, making multiple iterations of the same pieces over many seasons. Right now, the perennial styles of a bunch of Japanese brands are totally on trend in the West. And because they've been making these styles and silhouettes for years, there's loads of it and tons of options. Also, and this is a really good point, the US dollar is really strong against the yen right now, which makes buying from Japan comparatively cheaper than it's ever been. Just about everything is effectively about 30% cheaper than at the start of this year alone. And this is particularly useful if you're buying Japan-based labels that don't have that import markup.
So it's a worthwhile endeavor for sure, but as I mentioned, we want to do things better and smarter than last time. And we focused before on Yahoo JP, which is an eBay-like auction format format. But where else can we find cool stuff, and how do these different websites differ?
People will sell lots of high-end brands and archival pieces in the auction format, like on Yahoo Auction Japan, and you could definitely get some deals by bidding on stuff. But you also need to check out marketplaces like Mercari. That's a little bit more like Grailed or Depop, so sellers will list prices for items and you can just buy them straight up, no bidding involved. And again, there's a huge variety of brands on that platform. I'd also definitely recommend checking out ZozoTown, that's zozotown.jp, which is the largest online fashion site in Japan. They sell both brand new and used clothing from all kinds of brands you know, some that you don't, a lot that you don't, from ultra wearable street fashion to more avant-garde stuff. And Buyee in particular has a direct partnership with ZozoTown, making using Buyee, that platform, the ideal choice when buying from zozotown.jp.
Okay, multiple sites, got it. What about actually searching for stuff though? Can you give us some hidden knowledge on brands that we could be looking out for?
You know, in the last video, Antwon, you focused on well-known Japanese brands sold in the West, brands like Capital and Antwon and Nanamika. And there's more of it over here, of course, so that's a great starting point. But you'd also check out labels that don't have as much of an international presence. You got very affordable stuff, which is like fast fashion or basic pieces with a Japanese aesthetic, brands like Wigo and Spins, which are best found on ZozoTown and Mercari. Now, if you're looking for a little bit more up or mid-market, you have select shops like Freak Store and brands like Monkey Time and Beams, who frequently have collabs with other brands, and of course labels like the North Face Purple label, which you'll find their entire full collections only in Japan and is quite different than the US stuff. We also have brands like Casper John, who strike a nice balance of interesting Japanese infused street styles at prices that are incredibly fair considering the quality. At that higher end though, there's a whole world of more luxury, avant-garde, underground labels best known in Japan. So you should definitely check out labels like Devoa, Rip Van Winkle, Ground Y, Wizard, all labels I frequently engage with myself and are great starting points for more discovery. And of course, if you need any ideas, I'll be speaking about those brands on my channel, as well as providing you all with a list so you can get a little bit more acclimated.
Amazing. We have our service, we have our sites, we have some brand ideas. So it's time to put on the hunting hat and get looking for some Japanese fashion. Okay, I have spent days looking through different brands, all the different sites, and there's a bunch of cool stuff that I've bought or won, which I'm really looking forward to showing off. But I was just missing that one item, that one really special thing that I could be super passionate about that absolutely would exemplify everything this video is meant to be about. But then I saw something pretty special, something that I've wanted for like half a decade. Only available in Japan, and it was in my size. It was gonna make me go seriously over budget, but I knew I had to do it for the video. Over 2 days, I watched and I waited as the price went up and up and up. But with 10 minutes left, it was finally my time to strike. So I put in my max bid and I was immediately outbid. So I put it in again and I was outbid again. So I went one more time and I thought I'm gonna put the absolute maximum amount that I'm gonna pay for this thing in, and the bid stuck. I was ahead, 5 minutes left. Some poor fool tried to increase his bid, but he couldn't stand against my might. And with a total of 37 bids on this thing, I was the winner. After a quick shower, because I definitely got a little bit sweaty doing that, I just had to wait for everything to show up at the Buyee warehouse, at which point it all got consolidated into one package. I paid a bit extra to have everything securely wrapped or whatever together, because there was no way that any of this stuff was going to get lost or damaged. Currently everything's on its way, so we'll return for the final part where we can see what we picked up with Reggie's expertise. And here we are, the big Japanese marketplace pickup. Hopefully you get a sense of exactly how big this box is. I'm super excited to go through this. It took so long to arrive. It was held up in customs for quite a while, and then I had to pay a pretty hefty fee. Don't forget about those potential extra costs when ordering multiple things. This is a good time to mention actually that what I'm going to show off here is not a normal amount of stuff to be purchasing in one go. I am intentionally showing the breadth, I suppose, of stuff that's available on these kinds of websites. Definitely don't feel pressured to engage with fashion in this way. Now let's check some cool stuff out. I've got to say, opening this up, everything was very nicely packaged with ample bubble wrap around pretty much everything. So despite going literally halfway around the world, it all came out great. I'd say this is probably overkill if you're just ordering clothing, but for anything more delicate, I think the extra bubble wrap is certainly welcome. Without further ado, let's check out item 1. It is this insect shield jacket from Snow Peak. They're a Japanese brand, primarily known for their high-end camping gear, but they do a lot of clothing as well. They're pretty well stocked in different countries and retailers throughout the world, so we're really taking advantage of the greater availability here. And indeed, this insect shield jacket retailed at something like $220, and it cost us about 10,000 yen, which is around $60. I thought the transparent effect of the netting was a pretty interesting look, very different to anything that I own, and quite different to a lot of the usual Snow Peak outfit, in that this is quite delicate looking and feeling, designed to be very lightweight and packable, whereas I feel like a lot of their things are quite kind of puffy and thick and substantial. Great color scheme on this though, especially with these little contrast nylon panels here. And something that's really cool that I didn't actually notice when I ordered it is that the zip here goes all the way up past the top of the hood, so it is a full zip. So yes, you can totally conceal your face, great for some edgy pics, or protecting yourself from insects, which is of course the actual purpose of this stuff. The whole jacket will compress into this little pocket here, so it really is incredibly packable. Looking forward to including this in some outfit content as a bit of a layering detail for sure. As Reggie suggested, Mercari seemed to be a great place for looking at some of those more affordable native Japanese brands like Monkey Time and Wego. I had a look through quite a few different ones, and I ended up deciding on this Monkey Time t-shirt here. This one was brand new, and it cost me the equivalent of about $25 or just over. I kind of picked this up on the basis that it reminded me somewhat of the Uniqlo Arisen tees, those Uniqlo U ones by Christophe Lemaire, and they've been getting super popular recently. People on TikTok seem to keep recommending them, and as a result they seem to be getting more expensive and harder to find, so good to find a little alternative. And yeah, I honestly really like the fit of this. I really like the thickness, the weight of the cotton as well is really nice. Drapes very nicely and had exactly the right oversized fit on me. I got this in an extra large, and I'd say it's about equivalent to a Uniqlo U size L, maybe a little bit bigger than that. It's so thick, it's not far off feeling like a lightweight crew neck, so it feels really good on body and just really nice in hand. Pretty pleased with this one. I also couldn't resist having a dive into the North Face purple label, essentially a collaboration between the North Face and Nanamika. Their output is totally different to the global North Face brand. That distinctive purple label instantly shows people in the know that you've got something a bit different and interesting. Not to mention that people on a wider scale are probably going to appreciate this stuff, since outdoor fashion and that whole outdoor lifestyle aesthetic is still pretty on trend. The thing that I ended up getting was a backpack. This came out at something like $80, and it's actually quite a lot bigger than I thought. It's really quite a sizable thing, but it really drew me to it because of the real kind of authentic 1970s look. This seems like it was straight out of a mail order catalog almost, with this really thick canvas exterior material and loads of extraneous contrast straps and pockets and things like this. It's even got this little handle here which was originally designed for an ice axe. Perfect heritage outdoor fashion accessory, I feel. I particularly like the waist strap actually, which uses something that I've never seen. This is Velcro secured, whereas of course ordinarily you would have a buckle of some kind, so that instantly gives it this totally different look and feel to what's normally available on the market. Very retro compared to my usual more futuristic getup, but I'm sure I can work it in there somewhere. If you're into graphic tees, I found some success here. Of course there are some well-known Japanese brands who do exactly this. There were some vintage anime tees as well that I'd never seen in the UK before. But the first thing in this category I ended up getting was from Cav Empt. As you probably know, they're a brand that I quite like. This is a long sleeve t-shirt coming in at a ridiculously cheap, something like £30 this cost me. Considering this is made in Japan, it's got a full embroidered graphic, I think that's pretty good. The colour's really nice, it's got this garment dyed finish as well, so it's very slightly uneven. It's a kind of delicate stone sort of colour, and I really like the graphic as well. Often Cav Empt stuff is quite sort of over the top and very flashy. This is quite different in that respect, but still very much a Cav Empt style graphic, kind of referencing wireless connections and technology in a slightly sort of fun way, which I quite like. Cav Empt on the back as well, so everyone knows what you're wearing. Connecting phones and tablets to someone's Wi-Fi is the most literally me graphic I've seen in some time. Feels like it's been fairly well loved and washed quite a lot, but it's still in great condition, and I thought it fit me pretty well as well. Next graphic tee though was this Mizuno and Evangelion collab one. There is no particular reason why I keep talking about Mizuno on this channel in the last few weeks, just seems to have worked out that way, But yeah, this one was brand new, and I really like the combination of the logo and the classic Evangelion colors. It's a bit over the top and flashy, but I think it's a kind of interesting and fun anime reference that I'm pretty sure wasn't available outside of Japan. And this cost something like £25, so like $30-ish, which I think is similar to the retail price of this when it launched earlier this year. Something I didn't realize though, this is a kind of perforated nylon sports top. I assumed it was just cotton, which is actually a good thing because it makes it look a little bit more technical up close, and it means that I'll probably end up wearing this running. So if you see someone going past you in an anime t-shirt, then that's probably me. I will of course be doing the arms backwards anime run while I wear it. Although we're talking fashion here, it's important to remember using a service like this, you can pretty much get anything, not just clothing. And I wanted to test this out, and I came up with the perfect idea. So some of you might have seen over on Instagram stories or TikTok, I've been getting into the Gunpla building recently. There's some behind me around there somewhere. Building scale model robots just seems super cool to me, and where better to get that than Gundam's home of Japan. But I didn't just want to get some regular stuff. Hey, it's a fashion video after all, so have a look at this. In 2020, Bandai teamed up with UNIQLO to do a clothing collection. I actually bought one of the t-shirts back then before I started getting into this stuff, and they also, for Japanese customers, did some exclusive Gunpla kits. So if you bought a certain number of t-shirts, they would also give you one of these kits, and we've got both of them. For Gunpla nerds, it's the RX-78 and the Zaku 2, which are two of the most iconic Gundams out there, and I think these look pretty cool. They're high grade, they weren't that expensive, they were something like $10 each, but pretty fun to have a toy and fashion collaboration that isn't really available outside of Japan. But that wasn't the best one that I got. Last year there was a Nike and Gundam collaboration. They did a couple of dunk highs, they sold out very quickly, now they're pretty expensive, but pretty sure this was Japan exclusive. Again, they also had actual Gunpla available too. So I've got the Unicorn Gundam in Destroy mode, directly designed to mirror the colorway of one of the dunks. I love that this is in a shoebox instead of the regular Gunpla box, very on brand. Again, it's a high grade, but a bit more detailed. I think this one's gonna look sick when it's finished. I'm actually gonna keep this one for a while though, because I wanna get my Gunpla building skills up to scratch, because I really don't wanna butcher this one, because I feel like it's a little bit special. Very excited to give that a go though. And that brings us on to the final thing, the one that I mentioned earlier I had to fight hard for on the auctions. Let's take a look. Finally, I have one of my own, the 2018 Arc'teryx and Beams Beta SL Multi. Possibly one of the coolest jackets Arc'teryx has ever released, a Japanese exclusive. I've wanted this for absolutely years, and now we've got one that we can actually take a look at up close. The condition I don't think is too bad considering its age. There are some marks towards the hem down here, but it's not too bad or too noticeable. And the rest looks pretty good. Being a SL, it's super lightweight as well, lighter than the Beta LT, as you might imagine, but it's still got the feature set and the overall cut and articulation that we'd expect from the brand. Most importantly though, of course, this amazing patchwork colorway utilizing these different greens and browns and blues, these tones that perhaps shouldn't work on paper, but together they just look so good. That asymmetry as well just makes the whole jacket look super interesting, and in my mind sits perfectly between outdoor fashion and gorpcore stuff and flashier streetwear. The new Beams collab was really nice as well. The big logo on the arm kind of killed it for me a bit, but that only reaffirmed how much I liked this original version, so I am super hyped to finally get my hands on it. Of course, by this point I'm very familiar with the Arc'teryx brand, so I kind of knew exactly what I was going to get, and it meets my expectations. That's good enough for me. Better believe this is going to be all over Instagram and TikTok, so keep an eye out over there if you want to see some outfits with this. I am definitely in the camp of wearing the things that I like the most, not just storing them and hoarding them. Let me know though if you guessed that this would be the big item, because I've mentioned it in several videos before and it is something that I've wanted for a long time. And a lot of these things you just wouldn't find outside of Japan. I definitely found some restrictions though. A lot of the brands that Reggie recommended, having a look through them, I kind of felt like they actually wouldn't fit me that well. I'm pretty tall, I'm 187 centimeters, so especially things like pants, a lot of them were just not going to be feasible for me, so I had to refine the kinds of things I was looking for to make sure that I'd actually get stuff that worked. Of course, I've got to ask though, Reggie, what's your opinion? How do you think we did here?
Yo, Antwon, that's actually some cool stuff, for real. For real, I'm not gonna lie. I see you with the Gundam UNIQLO collab, letting that inner weeb out. It's okay though, I'm gonna give you a pass on Gundam. I will tolerate it. On the clothing front though, I think you did an excellent job choosing things that fit your aesthetic and vibe. And upon saying that, I guess the Gundam stuff actually makes a whole lot of sense. So it all coalesces together into something beautiful, and it really tells us a lot about your character. I ain't saying nothing, I think you made some good choices.
And was there anything I really missed out on? If we did this again, is there something I should keep a lookout for?
I think White Mountaineering by Yosuke Aizawa would totally fit with your style. The functional meets fashion meets hiker core vibe of that label would provide you with a ton of great pieces. Hear me out on this. Also, on the off season, they have great discounts considering it's at the upper tier pricing point. Still though, it's amazing. And I know you didn't get any of it this time, but just keep a lookout for it on any marketplaces and I'm sure you'll find some great pieces from that brand. White Mountaineering, 100%. Definitely check it out.
Buyee getting saved to the favorites now so I can scout for any future deals. Gotta say a massive thanks to Reggie for this one, for making this video possible. Couldn't have done it without your expertise. Massive thanks to Buyee too for helping to fund some of these pickups, although I did go over budget, that is my fault. Really hope you found Reggie's input here as valuable as I did. Please let us know what you thought of the video down there in the comments. I would love to do more stuff like this. A little bit different to the usual, but I thought it was super fun. If you enjoyed it, please do give it a like, that is massively appreciated. Consider subscribing if you haven't already, and I will be back very soon with another video.